The California playground safety regulations only require the initial inspection before it's open to the public. But the playground regulations refer to the American Society of Testing and Materials and the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And those two documents require two additional kinds of inspections. They're called low frequency and high frequency inspections. They don't really tell you what the frequency of those inspections are because it depends on how much use the playground gets. You all know that some of your playgrounds have a lot of use, some have more vandalism than others, and so they give you a way to determine how frequently these inspections should be done. I think that's a nice idea, but for a government agency with a lot of different play areas, it's kind of difficult to keep track of them and do inspections for each park as it's needed. So I think a standard is appropriate. The high frequency inspection is mostly custodial. In other words, the first person on the site could be the guy who mows the lawn, or it could be the first teacher that shows up in the morning. And basically you're looking for things like needles, syringes, condoms, broken parts, and obviously if they find anything, they report it as soon as possible. Or they may want to prohibit children from using the park until it's fixed. The second kind is called the low frequency inspection, and that doesn't have to be done by a certified inspector, but it needs to be somebody who's familiar with the codes and who knows some construction background, because what you're talking about is things like metal fatigue and other things that a normal person wouldn't usually have enough background for. There is another kind of inspection that frequently is brought up, and that is, does it comply with the manufacturer's instructions? Most CPSIs can't do that because we don't work for that playground manufacturer, so we're not authorized to speak for them. Problem is that most sales reps also don't have much background. They're salesmen, so this becomes problematic. Going to have to call the manufacturer directly and see if you can work that out. The California playground safety regulations only require the initial inspection. But again, when you look at these two documents, ASTM and CPSC, they refer to several other times when you might need to do an audit. There's no grandfather clause, so whenever the code is changed, usually about every 5 years, the playground should be audited to make sure that you're complying with the new laws. Sometimes they're very minor differences, sometimes it's significant. Another time would be if you have a major catastrophe like Katrina, or if a tree falls on the property, you might have to redo the audit. Another time is when you're moving the play equipment. You want to make sure it's compliant before you move it, because if there's anything non-compliant, you don't want to waste your time or money to move it. You want to make sure that all the corrections are made before you move, and then again you need to inspect it afterwards. Each time you move the play equipment, it needs to be audited, because it's not just the play equipment, it's about the use zones for the equipment, and the new area must be big enough to accommodate all those use zones.